Well, welcome to the very last AQUAHOLIC video of 2020, and what a year it's been. It started off fairly sensibly with a trip to the Dusseldorf boat show, and that was in January, and then we had Miami in February, and everything seemed to be going well, and then the world, well, it kind of imploded really, didn't it? We had the whole COVID situation, and that of course is still going on, but into March we had the lockdown, and of course that really put the brakes on making videos for AQUAHOLIC. Luckily I had plenty still coming from the boat shows I've been to, but I improvised and I did a few walking tours, which I've always said are my most popular and least popular videos on AQUAHOLIC. Most popular because I got loads of really positive comments about them. Least popular because actually hardly anybody really watched them. So those that did enjoyed them, but there weren't really enough of them. So, but they were a good little interlude in the meantime. The other thing I did was luxury houses. I found a few waterside houses and did a few tours of those just to keep things ticking over, and they were pretty well received and actually very interesting to do. So that was all good. 5:40 a.m. and we're down in Kingswear for what I think may be the most beautiful walk I've done so far. The view you can see behind me is of the entrance to the River Dart. That's Dartmouth Castle just there. And the plan today is we are going to head out to Froward Point. Look at that, there's a deer. That's unbelievable, there he goes. Wow. Can't bring you any super yachts at the minute because I can't get down to the middle where most of them are, but I can bring you super houses. Now, how are we qualifying a super house? Well, I think you'll know it when you see it, and I think we see it right here. Look at this. This is truly magical, and I'm going to give you the full tour of this because it's a very special place indeed. It's actually called Quer Quay, so Quer and then Quay as in a quay on the side of a river, which of course is exactly where it is, and it sums the house up beautifully. And actually what this is you've got obviously the loo and the sink and then this incredible bathtub, but it's actually a wet room as well. You can see there's a shower in the ceiling and a drain. So that makes for an amazing wet room. And even here, sat in the bath, you've got river views. Beautiful. Let's go a bit further. Now this is one of those gardens where you go, this is my favourite bit, and then 2 minutes later, no wait, this is my favourite bit. It is truly exquisite. The thing we really missed out on with AQUAHOLIC through 2020 was Superyacht Tours. We got a few early on in the year, but then of course with the COVID situation, travel was absolutely kiboshed, and there aren't very many super yachts in the UK, and so therefore that's why it's been a little light on the super yacht front. Very much hoping to correct that in 2021. Fingers crossed we can travel again properly, but we'll see how that goes. So that's why there is only one top 10 this year. I'm just doing a top 10 of AQUAHOLIC generally. Last year I did a separate super yacht top 10. I'm not sure we've got enough this year, but we've certainly got enough videos. I think the final tally for this year is something like 174 videos for AQUAHOLIC, so it's been a very full-on year. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much, of course, for watching them. So, so what do we have? Well, I've done a good look through today to see what was actually filmed, because it's quite hard to keep track of them all. And I've come up with my definitive top 10. Now, this isn't a top 10 of which are the best boats. This is a top 10 of the boats that particularly appealed to me, or indeed particularly appealed to you guys, the ones that got the most comments or the most likes or the most views. Now, I'm kicking off number 10 with the Roberto Cavalli designed Ocean Fast 164 footer. That was a super yacht that I think probably must have got as many comments as any video on AQUAHOLIC ever. I think it's up to something like 1,700 comments. And people weren't short of voicing their opinion, which in most cases was, what on earth is that? And it certainly was a very different and very interesting super yacht. But I think the thing with it is, it was never a yacht designed to appeal to the masses. It was designed to appeal to the owner. It was what he specifically wanted. It isn't a normal boat, and I don't think it's ever pretending to be, but it is a fantastic piece of kit. The design and the intricacy that went into the inside of that, and it's like nothing else on the water. It's also an incredibly high performance boat, and I think if you look at it as the ultimate playboat, dayboat, speedboat, then it perhaps makes a bit more sense. But as I say, it's certainly captured people's imagination, not always in a good way, but I thought it was an incredible piece of kit, and I think it's well deserving of its spot in the top 10. The owner said he wanted a boat that was 50 metres long, had 6 staterooms, but would go from Saint-Tropez down to Portofino, stopping for lunch on the way and be in Portofino for dinner. So it had to be very, very fast. They broke all the rules when they made this. They made something that you just never normally see, and it's been refitted in 2016 by Roberto Cavelli himself. So you have an absolutely incredible yacht, and then with an absolutely incredible designer. And the area that will blow your mind first is this. Now, one of the rules that they broke is the fact that at 50 metres you would normally expect it to be a triple decker, and it's not. It is a twin deck, and that gives quite colossal space. Now, sometimes I walk through a boat and say, hey, I'm 6'2", look how much headroom there is. Well, I can't even begin to touch the ceiling in this. And then we'll take this stairway back up to the main deck. Look at the way they finished all this around here. And this time we'll head on forward. It's about 3,000 horsepower each, but if you want to hit that 34 knots, they're not going to do it. What you need to do is light up the gas turbine. These all run through jets, and that's what's giving it the speed. You have the gas turbine running flat out, you have these engines running flat out, and then you've got this 50-metre boat doing 34 knots. It is unbelievable. Now at number 9, I'm putting the Lazara 92. Now, I'd never come across a Lazara yacht before going to the States. Bob Dennison from Dennison Yachting actually put me on this one and the previous boat. So we've got a lot to blame Bob for. He's a great guy and he's become a good friend. So, hey Bob, if you're watching. But the Lazara 92, well, it was an interesting boat because on the outside, perfectly nice, nothing extra special, but looked really good. But when you go inside of that one, and particularly when you head down to the lower deck, you find this incredible atrium. It's over a beautiful galley and dinette area. It makes fantastic, almost like a sort of country kitchen kind of thing. I can just envisage that as being the ultimate party boat. It'd be a great place to spend some time with a load of friends. The other thing is the master cabin, which also came with a rather unique surprise, something I'd not seen on a yacht like that before. So yeah, fascinating boat and well worth checking out. But I mentioned that open bulkhead. Look at the way that is completely open all the way through. That's really nice. It makes this area feel really spacious, and what I also like is it's a very sort of atrium feel with these windows up above, so you get masses of light pouring down into here. But if it's a really hot day, there are blinds. You can see the lines for them there. So there's electric blinds that come across, so you can shield the sun if you want to. But I just think that's a really magnificent area. And boats are all about partying and having fun. What a great place to do it. Check this out. Look at that. That's a hot tub actually inside this area of the boat. It's almost like a little Swedish sauna kind of thing, isn't it? But better yet, you've got a doorway just here, and this takes you out onto your own private balcony from your master cabin onto the side of the boat. And so you can stand here, or put some chairs out here and sit and admire your ship with your own private outdoor veranda. That's brilliant, and this of course folds up, it hinges against here, so it's completely integral when you're not using it. I think that is brilliant. That whole area, never seen anything like that before. Fantastic. Now number 8 is the Golfcraft Majesty 100. It's another yacht that I checked out when I was out in Miami, and Golfcraft have always been popular on the channel, and I can see why, because they're a really nicely put together boat, very contemporary interiors, light, pleasant, lots of space on board, and just a really great yacht. And their 100 certainly keeps the side up for Golfcraft. It's a very popular video. It was a great boat to have a look at, and as a step into a proper super yacht, that is a boat that makes an awful lot of sense. And as we head on forward, more storage on that side of course, and then this is a really great social area all the way around here, and your dining area is up ahead of that. That's a side door out onto the starboard walkway. We're going to head all the way forward and take a look at the master cabin. Something you don't normally see on a 100-foot yacht is if we go up these steps here, this would normally take you up to a flybridge. On this one, it takes you up to a sky lounge. And as I say, that's something you normally wouldn't expect to see. But what's clever is, obviously you lose a bit of space out here, but you can open these doors all the way across, so that whole area there is completely open. You can also drop these side windows. So if we come around here, these are the switches over here. So you can see that one going down over on that side. And what that does, of course, with those open and these open, is it makes this into more of an outside area. So that's very clever. Number 7 is a Sunseeker Manhattan 68, not because it comes up with anything particularly groundbreaking, but because it's one of those boats that Sunseeker seems to have refined to an absolute art form. There's so much thought and so much detail going into that boat. It's just one of those boats that works really, really well. And in the sub 70-foot yacht category, I don't think there's an awful lot to touch it.
But we'll start back here because this is one interesting thing that they've done. What they've done with this is made this much more functional for water sports. So typical situation, you're at anchor somewhere and then everything is here, dive bottles, towels, fins, everything you need. But what's really clever is down here, under this little seat, there's a seabob locker. And what that does is that when this bathing platform lowers, of course you can put a rib on here as well, so you've got your tender. When this lowers away, you can then slide these out and straight into the water. So that's very clever. They've even put a little charging point. You can just see it. There's little silver fellows down there. That's so you can plug chargers in, so you didn't even need to carry them up to charge them. They can stay down there at water level, and that makes life a lot easier because they're great fun, but they're quite heavy. And this has changed quite a bit from the Manhattan 66 that it replaced. So on the Manhattan 66, you had access down here to your owner's cabin. They've changed that and moved it up here. I'll show you that, of course, in a moment. But what that means is you get this wonderful wide area as you walk in. It makes the boat feel a lot more spacious, and it's very practical because you've got seating over on this side, directly opposite the galley, and a nice big functional galley. But one thing I really like, which they showed me, is that when you're sat here, you've got your TV in front of you, but look at this. You've got a little view directly down to the water. So when you're sat in here, you have got that connection with the sea. I think that's brilliant. And then over here, there's some quite neat touches, like, for example, a wireless charging pad. Drop your phone on there, it'll charge if it's the right sort of phone. That takes an iPad in there, so if you want backup navigation or you want to control your Sonos from it, you can slot that in there, and that's what that does. And look at this, they put buttons on here. This controls your navigation screen. So normally when you're driving the boat and you want to change your navigation screens, you've got to lean forward and prod around with them. Now you can just touch the buttons on here. That's very clever.
In at number 6, Horizon FD87. Now this was another trip abroad. It was my 3rd trip abroad and the last one, and it was in August. A rather stressful trip for various reasons, mostly to do with all the COVID business that was going on at the time, but it was worth it for that boat because it's quite a spectacular thing. What they've done with that is it's a full displacement yacht, and they've really utilised that to give it a maximum amount of volume inside. It was huge, and it was really, really nicely done, both the interior spaces, the deck spaces, the engineering spaces, and one thing in particular is the beach club. So right at the back of the boat, the entire transom lifts up, and it gives a really spectacular area right down at water level that also doubles up as a mess area for the crew when it's not being used as a beach club. So that's a very clever feature indeed. Now also on this deck, if we head forward, we will find the master cabin. So it's a proper main deck master cabin. It's proper super yacht stuff. And here we go. Really nice. I think we will head down first of all. As you can see, there's also an up, and we will explore that in a moment. I love these floating steps. We'll just look at them from here as we go under them, all lit underneath. That's a nice touch. And as we head down here, there are areas tucked away, which are things like your circuit breakers and that kind of thing. So they're easy to get to. And then we come down to the lobby. It's got lights that are motion sensor, so you might have noticed that clicked on then as I moved. So that will stay on now. In this area, we have got a very nice double cabin just here. Check this out. This, I think, is possibly my favourite part of the boat. You ready? Now what we have here is one of the most fantastic dual-purpose areas I've ever seen, because as it is at the minute, with this huge transom section lifted up, it's a beach club. It's right at water level. You can sit here and have a drink of an evening. You can watch the kids playing. You've got, of course, a jet ski or a rib that can sit on this platform, and that lowers into the water. And you've got a bar area here as well. Very well catered. It's got a fridge. It's got a hob, microwave. There's a TV even that swings out up there. That's a wonderful beach club area. But you drop that transom back down. It fits. You can see the line of it here and up and along. It turns this whole area into a crew mess. So it's brilliant, it's dual purpose. And there's a big door on it, you can see it up there, so that when this is down, you've got access from this area, not just up to the cockpit the way we came in, but also straight out onto the back of the boat. I think that is brilliant. At number 5, Riva 60 Bahamas. Argo Yachting organised this one for me. It was another one while I was out on my little Mallorca trip, and it was spectacular. It's a boat, it's over 20 years old, but it looks amazing. It's a real classic to look at, but it's also very contemporary inside. There's been a lot of updates on that one. It works really well, and it's just a beautiful machine. But in particular, for a boat that's over 20 years old, the condition of it was just incredible. I've seen 1-year-old boats that haven't been in as good condition as that one. It was quite spectacular to see and a real treat to have a tour of. I've always wanted to get a Riva onto my channel. Not managed it yet, but finally, down in Portable Towels, and courtesy of Argo Yachting, we're doing it, and we are doing it in style, because this is a 1998 Riva 60 Bahamas, and it is a thing of absolute beauty. It's got latest Raymarine kit on here, so that's an Axiom unit. So the bits that need to be new are new, but it just looks so classic, doesn't it? I mean, this is exactly how it would come out of the factory, apart from the modern details being put on. Side power bow and stern thrusters, for example. I doubt they were there in 1998. They're there now. And what it means is you've got a fabulous meld of ultimate classic style, but with modern function. Things like the ice maker, things like the thrusters. Let's go and have a look inside. That's just gorgeous. Owner's cabin is right at the front. Very nice too. This is classic Riva, the way that these louvered doors are on here. This of course is wardrobes and storage. And actually one thing I notice is just how solid all the catches are. It's a proper quality item. People often talk about where do boat manufacturers fit in alongside car manufacturers, and Riva has always been associated with Rolls-Royce and Ferrari. Rolls-Royce for the quality and Ferrari for the performance. Number 4, Nordhavn N120. Now, we love Nordhavns on AQUAHOLIC. They're always a really popular boat, and we love super yachts, so the idea of getting onto a Nordhavn super yacht was a real treat, and it certainly lived up to expectations. I was actually shown around the boat by Dan Streech. He's the president of Nordhavn, so no finer person to show me around, and it was absolutely spectacular. Both the guest areas, the crew areas, and in particular, the engineering areas. The engine room, for example, was just incredible. 2 layers, beautifully laid out, and the engineering spaces ahead of that and at the back of the boat were just a joy to see. Well worth taking a look at. The engine room. Look at this. This is split level. These are the engines. They are a pair of Detroit MTU diesels, 965 horsepower each. All water cooling for the engines comes up through here and then goes to the filters. So if you had a blockage, you could take the top off. Because we're above the waterline, the water won't come out of it. This is the manifold systems for the fuel fillers. So it has commercial fillers. You actually lock the fillers onto the deck, and then they deliver very high pressure fuel, so you can put a massive amount of fuel in both sides. This one comes from that side, this one comes from that side, and then this manifold directs where you want it to go. Let's head on down a level. It carries on getting interesting. Okay, so now you're seeing the engines in a little bit more detail, seeing the fuel filters. This is interesting. This is a universal joint coupling, and it allows the engine to be soft mounted, so it really reduces vibration through the boat. A lot of stuff going on down here. This is tankage. This is what gives it the incredible range. It's the tank room, and these are the tanks left and right for your fuel, your water, all the way up through here. Look at this. You can get right up to the front of the boat through here. But I'd like to finish off by saying this is absolutely 100% super yacht. What I really like about it is that it's also absolutely 100% classic Nordhavn. In at number 3, Galleon 640. That's a boat I went up to Southampton to have a look at, and the amount of innovation on that boat is incredible. It has drop balconies either side. I've seen those before, but the way they utilise them by putting a bar area on one side and then a really nice lounging area on the other is very special. And the amount of customisation available on that boat. I think there are 2 lower deck 3 cabin layouts, 1 4 cabin layout. There's different deck layouts. Even the cockpit, you can have different layouts on that. There's one layout that has the seating on a turntable so it can face into the boat for socialising or out across the water if you spin it right round. And then at the front of the main deck, there's something I've never seen before, which is a walkway through the centre of the screen that takes you straight out onto the foredeck. And it just makes the whole deck area so accessible. You don't walk down the side to get to the foredeck, you just walk straight through the accommodation. A lot of thought gone into that boat, a lot of detail, and a really interesting machine to take a look at. I've been in Southampton with approved boat sales looking at this Galleon 640. This is a very innovative boat, and I'm very keen to show you what this one's all about because there's a lot of interesting things going on. This one's going to be fascinating. Let's go and take a look. Basically, they're normally flush against the side of the boat, and then they power down at the push of the proverbial button, and that brings you down to this, as you can see it here. These then drop in, and there's some stools to go in, and you'll see why those are there in a moment. The woodwork in this one is latte. There's about 10 different choices of wood. You can have oak, you can have walnut, you can have different finishes. And look at this bamboo lighting they've put on here. And one final thing to show you just while we're in this area. This is a 55-inch TV. We touch this remote control. And if you want to watch the Grand Prix sat out in the cockpit on a sunny summer's afternoon, you can do it. So this section just here, you can lift up. That locks into place, and there's your bar. You can drop this backrest cushion the other way, and then there's a little catch on the side. Pull that, and then we can lift that into whatever position we want. There's cushions back to make it a bit tidier, and suddenly you've got a lovely area there looking out of the side of the boat, which will work brilliantly in this marina, of course, because then you've got a great view down there, but also at anchor or whatever. That's another social space on board of the boat. Now, this is a completely self-contained cabin, and it is arguably the master cabin. I say arguably because the VIP is pretty much the same size, so you could choose for yourself how you configure it. Now, there are again various layout options. This one is a 4-cabin boat, so there's the cabin that we saw at the front, and then there are 3 cabins down here. You can have this instead with just 2 very large cabins. So if you want a 3-cabin, all at master cabin standard, you can. But this one, as I say, is a 4-cabin. So we'll look in here first. Now, this is the one that I mentioned, which arguably you could say is a master. It is pretty much of that size. And then this is something I've never seen before on a boat like this. You have a window here that slides all the way up into there. It's electric, it's push of a button stuff, and that gives you a really amazing foredeck area. And this is quite remarkable because it's very adaptable, and what we've done with this is put these in the 2 different locations. So you can have it as sunbathing, as we've got on this side, or the centre lifts up to make a table. You can see that that is underneath the sunbathing cushion. Again, it's push of a button stuff. But also, look at the way that this one is right back against this bulkhead with a walkway around the front, and this one is moved forward. So there's a walkway through here, and that is all controlled by these buttons. So for example, we can push couch front back, and you can see now that whole area is moving forward, and that's giving us the walkway through the same as the other side. And then we'll head on up to the flybridge. Now, I mentioned that there is an extended version of this if you want it. However, has to be said, I can't see why you'd need it because this is huge. Let's go right to the very front and have a look down on that foredeck area because that is spectacular. Look at that. It just means that you've got 3 really great outside social areas. You've got that, you've got this, and then you've got your cockpit down at the back. Anyway, crew cabin, that's in here. So we give this fella a twist. And up she rises. Now again, in here, you have to remind yourself that this is a 64-foot boat because this, for a sub 70-foot boat, is surprisingly good. Number 2, Princess X95 for a couple of reasons. First, because it's quite an amazing super yacht, and secondly, because they let me drive it. It's not often I get the chance to drive a boat of that size, and it was a really great experience. But I think with that boat, what's particularly impressive is just what they have achieved. What they've done with that is to bring out a boat that comes under CE regulations, so it keeps the cost of ownership down, but gives a genuine super yacht experience. So you've got a main deck master cabin, for example. There's no sense of compromise anywhere. It's a proper triple decker. There's masses of deck space, And it's just incredible what they have created within a boat that fits within the 24-metre regulations. A very exciting day for AQUAHOLIC. We're finally getting on board of Princess's X95. Now, we saw this boat in build at Princess. Finally, we're getting on board of one. So let's press on in and I'll give you the full tour. Let's go. So up here, this is a proper super yacht feature with this huge master cabin. You've got the big windows all the way around. There's a window in the front as well, and on that side. And that is fantastic. Let's come all the way in and work our way around. But there is so much more to show you. Let's head back up this way. Back onto the main deck. And this time we'll take a turn around. We'll find another staircase. And this takes us then on up to the Sky Lounge. This is a real, again, super yacht style feature. To have this up here as a separate living area is just fantastic. And then something very special up on the front is this seating area and this hot tub with a waterfall. Now these are a pair of MAN 1900 horsepower V12 engines. Really big chunky engines. Now this boat will actually hold 13,500 litres of fuel. They're in 2 bunker tanks plus a day tank, and there's a fuel polishing system so you can actually clean the fuel. And the big news on this was a couple of big numbers actually. The top speed is 23 knots, which is tramping on for a boat of this size. It weighs over 100 tonnes and it'll cruise at 15 to 19 knots. But if you drop the speed back to 12 knots, you're getting over 2,000 miles of range. So you've got some serious distance out of this. Okay, let's head on back out of here, because although the tour is complete, we've certainly not finished this video. The really exciting news is that Princess has said, while I'm down here, would I like to have a spin out on it? And the answer to that is absolutely. Let's go. Now it's probably worth pointing out that it is properly windy today. I mean, we're talking getting up towards a gale force 8. This is not the sort of conditions that you might take a boat like this out on for a leisure cruise, but that's brilliant because we're going to really see what this boat will do when it's put to extremes. I honestly feel like a 5-year-old being taken out on a super yacht, which is basically what I am. I can see it accelerating on the screen, but I actually can't feel it. That's 9 knots, 10 knots, 11 knots, considering that this is over 100-tonne boat, punching through some serious seas. It's unbelievable. Just can't feel a thing. It's so super smooth and so super effortless. The only reason that we know that it's rough out there is a little bit of vertical motion and a lot of spray hitting the windscreen. Let's give her a quick run up to full power. Now it's in big seas, so it's probably not going to reach its maximum speed. In fact, it is 23 knots, which is about what it does flat out. So I wasn't expecting that. It's so quiet. I know I've got this other microphone on, but it's not actually connected to the GoPro. That's the other end. The GoPro's all the way over there, so you're getting genuine ambient noise levels. Touching 24 knots, and it's just so quiet, so unbelievably quiet. Anyway, it is a new boat. Let's not thrash it. Let's bring it back. What an incredible machine, and what an experience as well. Thank you so much to Princess Yachts for organising this. I've been looking forward to it all year, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. And in at number 1, this might seem a little bit left of field, but it is the Sunseeker Martinique 36 that was resto-modded by Yacht Solutions down in Plymouth. It was one of the directors of the company. He bought the boat and they completely restored it, but also modified it to bring it up to current standards. So the whole boat was completely gutted, and then everything from the plumbing and the wiring right through was recreated with a modern style. And in fact, the way they've melded that modern style with its traditional looks just works perfectly. I really like the choices that they've used, the colour schemes, the furnishings, the fabrics. It just looks fantastic, and it's a boat that I personally could really imagine owning. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Every step that I take, I don't feel good and my body starts to shake. I fell in love with a girl, I haven't seen her met so far. So why don't you take it all, take it away from me. Someday I'll leave this place, even if cities don't.
So that's it for a crazy year, 2020. I'd like to finish off by thanking you guys for all of your interest, watching the videos, your comments, your likes. It's what makes it all worthwhile, and that's the absolute lifeblood of AQUAHOLIC. So I hope you guys stick with us, and I hope we have a lot more adventures for you going into 2021. You take care, and I wish you a very happy new year.